So when I say advanced Java programming, it is all about the advanced topics of Java. By the way, my name is Virendranath. I am at Staroff from the past few days. I have been delivering lectures on functional programming, lambda expression streams and all. So today I'm going to deliver a lecture on advanced Java programming. The various technologies of advanced Java programming are JDBC, servlets, JSP, uh, these kind of things. And whenever I talk about advanced Java programming, I always start with a discussion on JDBC. So JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. What exactly is Java Database Connectivity? Okay, to take you through that. So basically it is nothing but an API. API stands for an application programming interface. So JDBC is nothing but an API which is generally used for connecting to the database. So while connecting to the database, what exactly we are going to do with the database? So generally, connecting the database means, so we are going to track the data. We are going to do various activities on the database. Okay, so we'll talk about all those things. So first, let us understand what exactly JDBC is. So whenever I say JDBC, it is nothing but an API, as I've told you, which will be used for, or I should say used by a Java programmer to access the database. So generally a database is the one which will be maintained, which will be controlled by a database management system. So when I talk about a database management system is all about a system which is generally a collection of programs which will be maintaining our database generally. Okay. So whenever I say API, what do we mean by an API? API is nothing but the set of interfaces and the classes which are directly written in Java programming. So generally, whenever I talk about interfaces and classes, so they are the primary structures of Java programming, where you have lots of methods, lots of variables, which will be helpful for doing various activities. So whenever I say JDBC API, so JDBC API is an API that will be consisting of interfaces and the classes which are helpful for working with the database. So as I've told you, we will be connecting to the database for what? For executing those queries. What exactly the queries and all, I'll let you know in 10 minutes of time. Then when I'm talking about this JDBC API, exactly what we are expecting, we are expecting to make the application talk to the database. So what generally talk to the database means, so a database only understands one language, which is structured query language. So whenever I talk about SQL is nothing but the shortest form of structured query language. Some people call it SQL, some people call it SQL, some people call it structured query language. So generally, what is a structured query language? The language which is only understood by the database, So now the question is, as database is understanding only SQL, so as a Java programmer, what exactly you do? We will take the help of the API. Just now I was referring to the API, right? So API. So the API which will be consisting of the interfaces and the classes, so which will be helping us to write the SQL statements. At the end of the day, SQL statements are only being given to the database, but the way in which a Java programmer understands is a Java program. So the Java programmer, which he will be making the program. So Java programmer is the one which he will be understanding only a Java program. So what he will be doing? So he will be writing an SQL. So by using those APIs, Okay, so that's what the point is here. So SQL plus Java. Okay, so that is what is the JDBC supported by the API which you get. Okay, so basically whenever I say JDBC, it is all about connecting with the help of a driver. Connecting with the help of the driver. Okay, we'll come back to the driver and we'll come back to the JDBC technique. But first of all, let us have a general idea of what exactly a database is going to be. So whenever I look at this word database, so the database is nothing but the base of the data. Okay, so the place where the data resides, in simple words. Okay, so to put it like a statement, a database is nothing but an information which is set up for easy access, management, and updating. What do I mean by easy access, easy management, and updating? So you take up any example, like shopping example. You take, like, you can take medical information. You take any kind of information must be stored at some kind of repository. So some kind of repository. So that repository, we call it as a database. So whenever I talk about a database, it is nothing but the source of information, So right from customer data, you say, financial data, you say, product information, you say, sales information, you say, hospital data, you say any data must be inside a database. So computer database is nothing but a storage area. So what it will be collecting, it will be collecting, or it will be a collection of various records. Okay, so basically whenever I say database, the main source of the database is nothing but a table. So what is exactly a table? So table is nothing but something which is collecting the information in the form of rows and columns. So what is the main source of data collection in a database? The main source of data collection in a database is nothing but a table. Means whenever I am trying to say I'm going to use the data retrieval, I'm going to use the data updation, I'm going to use the data deletion, everything I refer to a minimum entity called the table, Okay, so basically whenever I say a table is nothing but a collection of rows and columns. So rows and columns. So in relational database terms, what is a table? It is the collection of the data in the form of what? In the form of rows and column, where rows will represent the records and columns will represent the fields. So to give you a simplest of the example, so let me show you exactly what the database table look like. So now here you can see EMP ID, last name, first name, gender, title. So what are these? These are known to be the columns. So these are known to be the columns on the database table. These are known to be the columns on the database table. So when you look at this 1000, Torbati, Yolanda, F, and the programmer. So what is this? This is nothing but one record. So a record. A row represent a record. So now here you can see clean, Joel, gender male, and a programmer. So what is this? So this is a record of Clint. Okay, so this is Cox record. This is Smith record. This is Nelson record. So what exactly I'm trying to say here is a row represents a record, where a column represents a field or an attribute, I can say, or an attribute. So whenever I'm saying a table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. So collection of rows and columns. As I've told you, rows represent the records and the column represent the fields. Fields are the attributes of a particular entity. So what is the entity here? Employee is the entity. Employee is the entity. So employee has all these kind of features, or employee has all these kind of features. Okay, so or you can also call them as attributes. So what exactly now what we are going to do? So we are going to have a connection to the database via a Java program, and we are going to create the table, store the table, store the data into the table, and try to update the table, try to delete the table. So we are going to do all the minimum operations on the database. So how exactly we are going to connect? What is the main resource behind connecting with the database? The main resource behind connecting to the database is the JDBC driver. But before that, what exactly we are going to do here? So we are going to build an application. We are going to build an application. What this application is going to do? So this application is going to have a API. So what exactly was API? API was nothing but collection of interfaces and the classes that will be helpful for connecting with the database. Okay, so whenever I am saying database, it's not the only one database that is available for us. So there are various databases. So you can see here SQLite database, you can see Oracle database, you can see SQL Server, you can see MySQL, there are DB2. Okay, so there are structural databases, non-structural databases. Okay, so but here our context is to connect to a structural database because we are having our table as the source. So what we are going to do, so we are going to have MySQL database, the lightest server I can maintain on my system. So JDBC API. So what we are doing at the end of the day, so we are as a Java programmer, we are going to go for a Java application. So that Java application contains the API, what is required. So API, so that API generally is for storing. So generally is for, generally is for having the classes and the interfaces that will govern the JDBC programming. So what exactly JDBC programming? So JDBC programming is all about writing a Java program or developing a Java application which will connect with the database. So there must be a bridge. There must be a bridge. So that bridge is nothing but our driver. Nothing but our driver. Okay, what exactly we are doing here? We are taking the help of the driver. So this driver is the medium which will connect a Java application to the database. Okay. So in Java programming, so we generally look into a driver as, okay, so driver as a particular medium, so where I generally go for four types of drivers. So first type of driver, we simply call it as a type 1 driver. What exactly a type 1 driver is going to do? A type 1 driver is a JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, so JDBC ODBC bridge driver, so which is a type 1 driver. What exactly it is going to do? So it is going to bridge the gap between the JDBC and the ODBC resources. And then we will go for the type 2 driver. So what is the type 2 driver? Type 2 driver is nothing but also known as a native API driver. So native API driver. And then the type 3 driver, which uses a middleware like C++, programming. So where in we call it as a network protocol driver. So the middleware, okay, so so this is also one of the mostly used, but in our context, we are going to use a type 4 driver, which is also known as a pure Java driver. Pure Java driver. So type 3 and type 4 are the ones which are mostly used in the real-time programming. So, but here in our context, we are going to deal with the type 4 driver. So type 4 driver. So in our examples, we are going to look at the type 4 driver. So once again, so whenever I talk about a Java JDBC driver, so JDBC driver is nothing but the resource which is used to connect with the database via a Java program. So that will act as a bridge exactly. So we have four types of drivers as I told you: type 1 driver, type 2 driver, type 3 driver, type 4 driver. Okay, so what we are going to do here, we are going to use a type 4 driver. Okay, so now we will understand how we can connect with a database. So what is our next thing to learn? So we are going to have a connection to the database. So we are going to work with some steps to connect with the database. So what are those steps that we are going to help out to connect with the database? Always remember, the first step will be the initialization or of a driver, or you can say opening a database connection. So in simple terms, registering the driver. So what we are saying, we are going to register the driver, registering the driver. Okay, so whenever I'm saying registering the driver, so you need to say the Java application that this is the driver that I'm going to use, and you need to make a connection to the specific database. So this is done by using the class dot for name method. So what is this class here? A class is a class which is containing a static method called for name. So what it does, it is going to load the driver. It is going to load the driver. So what is the main aim of this particular method, for name method? The method of the class, okay, method of the class, which is going to load the driver class, So what exactly the driver that I'm going to use here? MySQL driver, mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. So this is how we register the driver. And one more thing that I have to tell you is, this was the older case. So before Java 8, we used to have a class dot for name for registering the driver. But now there is no need of using this, because whenever we say this particular class dot for name, so this is being done by our next step. So what is this generally? So of course you can follow this. But still from JDBC 4, that is especially from Java 8 version, we are going to use this registration of the driver right from the next step, that is creation of the connection. So in the creation of connection only we can go for this. Okay, I'll show you the example also. So when I'm saying creating the connection, so what was the first step? First step was the registration of the driver. And what is the next step here? Next step is creating the connection. So when I'm saying creation of the connection, what exactly we are going to do here? I'm going to use a method called get connection method. So what exactly this get connection method is going to tell me? So get connection method, so which is of driver manager class. So what is the class name here? Driver manager class. So what is this method? Get connection method. So what we are going to do here, so we are going to put this under the tribe. So this was a change that was made from JDBC 4th version onwards. So basically before this we used to have a class dot for name separately, and we used to have this get connection con separately. But from Java JDBC 4.0, so we are going to have it in the try block. Because, so why we are having it in the try block itself? Because it is auto closable. So it is the connection is auto closable. So as the connection is auto closable, so we don't have to put it in the separate block as such. So we can directly put that in the try block. So we can directly put that in the try block, and whatever the statements are there, you can use it right over here. So exactly how we are going to do it in the Eclipse environment, or in the environment that we try to do the program. So here you can observe that. So we first need to upload a jar file. So upload a jar file. So what exactly this jar file is said to be doing? So this jar file is said to be collecting all the required APIs, all the required APIs. Now, for example, if you have observed in our previous case, where we had this mysql.cj.jdbc driver. So you might have observed that here. Okay, so JDBC driver. So cj.jdbc.driver somewhere here. Okay, so driver.class. So what exactly this is? So it contains the driver specification. So it contains the driver. So this is what I said API all about. So this is the API where we contain all the classes and the required interfaces. So we need to upload this into our application. So then we can use our JDBC program. So that's what the point here. And then, as I've told you, when I'm trying to connect, so the one more thing that I need to do is I need to import the java.sql package. If you are not importing java.sql package, so you are not going to take the help of the JDBC API. So that is where you need to import the java.sql package. Okay, so that you need to import. And then what exactly I have done over here? So I have done a connection. I have done a connection. So as it is, as the database is there in my local machine, so what I have done here, I have connected it with JDBC. So what exactly is JDBC here? So JDBC is the API. So what exactly is the JDBC? JDBC is the API. MySQL is the database. The local host is the host machine where your database is present. So this is the database that is present. And then 3306 is nothing but the port number of my database, and the MySQL database. And employee DB is going to be the database that we have created for doing these operations, okay. And while installing this database, we will be working with the root, the username as root, and 123456 is going to be the password. 123456 is going to be the password of that particular database, which I have connected. Okay, so that is where you have to put it over. So as I've told you, it is auto closable resource, so you don't have to close it explicitly. So but in the previous versions we used to close it explicitly, so that the third party resource is not opened, so that it will corrupt your data as such. Okay, and what are the statement that I wrote here? I wrote, if connection not equal to null, means the connection is established here. If the connection is not equal to null, so what I should get here? So I should get connected to the database. So let me run this, so to show you that the connection has been established perfectly. So now what you can see, the connection has been established, but let me make it down so that you can clearly look at it. So now the connection has been established. So connection has been established. So the steps what all I have used are the right steps. So that you can see that. So we have perfectly wrote the code which have connected with the database. So here we have the database already. Okay, so I've created it for you so that it will be it will not be delayed as such. Okay, so this is how you can deal with the, so if the connection has been not established, so it will give you a reply saying fail to make that connection. So that is where you have taken up. So that is where you have taken up the checking of this data connection, checking of this data connection. Okay, so this is how we can create our connection, creating the connection. So what is the step that I have made here? I have made the API database, the host name, the port ID, and the database. And this is the username and the password. So this is going to be the syntax. Okay, so now what exactly we have done? So we have done the connection to the database. So how exactly I can create the database? So simply you say create database mydb. Okay, so and access all the, so this is the simple statements, so which you can get assistance from your database developer, your project database developer, of course. So creating the user identified by a particular password and granting all the permissions to the database, so for a particular user. So this is how you can create the database event. Okay. So this is generally how we can create the connection. So then comes the main thing here. After the successful creation of the connection, so we generally go for executing the statements, executing the SQL statements. So what exactly I mean by executing the SQL statements? I mean to say, I need to write the SQL statement so that I can connect with the data. So what exactly I use here? I use some interfaces called statement interface, prepared statement interface, or callable statement interface. So these are the statements that I'm going to use. I'm going to use to connect with the database. I mean, to work with the database tables. Okay, so first let us understand a statement interface. So what exactly the statement interface contains? It will contain some very important functions on the statement. So what exactly those are? Okay, let us try and have them. So try statement stmt. So for our flexibility, I have already written the data, so which will be for inserting the data. So here I have written it in a different way. So inserting the data, so deleting the data, retrieving. Okay, so I think I need to insert here. So what is the table that I already have? So a table that I already have is the employee table, the employee table. So a small table, of course. So for getting the employee details, employee information, I can simply write select star from employee. So these are the two rows that I have on the table. So now what I want to do is I want to write a statement. So that statement will be going to insert the data onto the database. So database table, of course. So what we are going to do here, we are going to use the three main important functions: execute query when we go for the select instructions, execute update when we go for the updations, that is something like insert. So right now we are going to use the execute update, and then execute, you can use it any of the cases. Okay, so right now we are going for an insert. So let me write an insert statement. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write an insert statement. Insert. So this step is common. Okay, this step is common as you have used it for the connection also. So that step is common. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to insert into. So what I'm going to insert into, I'm going to insert into this data. So I'm going to insert into this data. Insert into the table name. What exactly is the table name here? The table name is the employee. Okay, so you specify the columns ENO, ename, and ESAL. So ENO, comma, ename, comma, ESAL. So I have given the names of the variable. I mean names of the columns. I've given the names of the columns. ENO, ename, esal, and then I have given the values. So insert into employee ENO, ename, esal values. So I'll also put the values into those tables. So generally, so suppose 1019, and the name I want to have it is something like Suresh, and the salary I want to have is something like 56,000. So what I have done here, I have done an insertion. So what I've done over here, I've done an insertion over here. So once I have done the insertion, so what I've used here, I've used the execute update statement. I've used a execute update statement. What execute update statement is going to tell me, execute update statement, I mean execute update method is going to take up the string, and that string will be executed. So what exactly is going to execute now? This particular string is going to execute. So this is a statement that is going to the database. This is a statement that is going to the database through the execute update. And what it is going to work on, it is going to work on the statement. It is going to work on the statement. So st.execute update. So this is the particular statement that will get executed, and what it will give you, it will give you the number of rows that are updated. Number of rows that are updated. Okay, so number of rows that are updated. So how many rows we are giving? We are giving a single row. We are giving a single row. So what I will get? I will get the answer as 1 rows updated. 1 rows updated. So now let me save this data and let me run this data. So you can see that 1 rows got updated. 1 rows got updated. So what is this 1 rows got updated? So you can again run that data over here. You can see one more data added to the list, added to the table, exactly added to the table. So what exactly is added? 1019 Suresh and 56,000. Previously it was what? Previously it was only with 2 values, but now you can see there are 3 values. How the insertion has been done? So inserting into the employee. So these are the things that are being taken place by using an insert statement. So that's how the insertion has been done on the database table. Insertion has been done on the database table. So this is how we look at the data insertion on the table. Okay, and then okay. So coming back to this, so this is how we can use the statement also. This is one of the ways, and you can also use it in the way that we have seen in the program. So this also is okay. So as we have used here connection, so that is why I'm not using that inside. So directly I'm using in this one. Okay, and then whenever we are talking about uh, table, so if you want to create a new table, so you can just say this. So table SQL, so create table, so it not exist. So this is setting a primary key. If you want to set a primary key, if you want to have a primary key onto the table, so this is the way that you can do it. And then as I told you, so you can just say execute, so that will be done. So now so execute, and when you are using execute, so you can get okay, so execute method. Then so basically whenever I want to know how many how much of data is updated and all, so you can use the execute update. So this is what we have done, right? So this is already have done, so that is why I just went for the insert statement. So this is how we have inserted this now, and then we can even retrieve the records by the select. Okay, so the select, so what we have done here, we have selected on the database. So we have selected on the database, but I want to get a selection done by using the JDBC only. Okay, so in order to do that, I have a program called retrieving the result, retrieving the result. Okay. So now what I'm doing here, I'm going for the query called select star from employee as my query. Sorry, as my query. So selecting star from the employee. So right here. So right here. So what I can do here, so I can pick it up for you. So I can pick it up for you and I can copy this for you so that uh, I can get the result pasted over here. So this is the result that I will get from the select star from employee. So select star from employee. So this is a result that I will get from the select star from employee. So now how can I get these results out on the, how can I get these results out on the console, Okay. So first of all, whenever I run this query, I have to use the execute query command. What or execute query method, I should say. Execute query method. What exactly the execute query method is going to do? So execute query method. So the execute query method generally, what it does is, so execute query method generally will, so this execute query method generally will return a result set. So generally will return a result set. So what exactly the result set is going to tell me? Yeah, so insertion, so I'll do it, Dhananjay. So let me give you the idea once more. I'll come back to that. Yeah, so let me go for it once again. Let me clear the drawings. So let me go back here. Okay. So now execute update. What exactly the execute update is doing here? Okay, let me use the pen here. So the execute update is a method of the statement interface. Execute update is the method of the statement interface which will be executing an SQL statement, So what exactly it is doing? It is executing an SQL statement and it is going to give an integer. What exactly the integer? So how many rows are getting updated? How many rows are getting updated? So we had 2 records. So we are inserting 1 record. So 1 row is getting updated. So that 1 count will go into R. So that 1 count will go into R. So that R you get as 1 rows updated. So that R you get as 1 rows updated. So that was the output. Okay. So I hope it is clear for you. Okay. Yeah. So now coming back to this. So what I told you here, I told you that we are running an execute query. What exactly the execute query is going to do? Execute query is going to take a SQL statement. Execute query is going to take an SQL statement, and that SQL statement is nothing but the select star from employee. What select star from employee is going to do? It is going to generate this. Okay, it is going to generate this. But after generating, so it has to be taken as result set. It has to be taken in as result set. So when the result set is generated, remember that the result set will be making a cursor to point out here in this location. So it creates a cursor for you. It creates a cursor for you on this location. So once I say creates a cursor, you need to retrieve the data now. So how exactly we retrieve? On the result set variable, we can call a next method. So what the next method will do? Next method will move the cursor to the next row available. So it will move the cursor to the next row available. Okay. Yes, exactly. So it moves the cursor to the next row available. So once it goes to the next row, remember that. Once it goes to the next row, remember that. So we have, okay, so we have this named as 1. I mean, this referred as 1, this is referred as 2, and this referred as 3. So once I say referring as 1, 2, and 3, depending on the value, so you are going to retrieve it. Okay. So what is the value of this? So this ENO is integer. So I'll say get int of 1. So get int of 1. Okay. Referred, or we have to do it? Yes, we have to. I mean, so they will be referred automatically. So we have to use them here. So they will be automatically referred, of course. So they will be automatically given as 1, 2, 3. Okay. So for every row, so this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. If there is one more column such as E phone, so that will be 4. Okay. So that will be 4. Okay. So then the next one will be 2. The next one will be 3. Okay. So, and after this is executed again, so after this is executed again, it goes to the next round. So what does the next round say again? Again next. So next means it will go here. So again I will come back here. So get 1. So again this will be 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So third time again 1, 2, and 3. And let me tell you, this is not the only way. So we can also use the column names. We can also use the column names, exactly. So we can also use the column names. So how we can use the column names? So get int of the column name, get string of the column name, get float of the column name. So exactly by using them, we can also retrieve the data. So once I'm done with this, so what I will do, I will just run it. So once I run it, what I will get? So I will be getting the data, something like this. So what I'm getting over here. So if you don't want all the columns, so you just have to give yes. So you just have to give 1, 2. So if you don't want the name, you just ignore this. Okay, so you can take the help of that. Okay, so you just don't want to have that. So then you can avoid any of the column or anything as such. Okay, so this is the way that you can look around at the result set. Okay, so this is the way that you can look around at the result set. So then you also have something like update command. So what does an update do generally? Update is nothing but which is going to update. So now if I ask you to write the lines of code for the update, so deliberately I just wanted to go for it. So what we can do, so first thing that I need to do is I need to import java.sql. So this is for self-evaluating ourselves. So java.sql. Okay, so this is how we can have the things. Okay, so java.sql.star. So in the first one, I have again deliberately I have given different classes and interfaces, something like this, because I wanted to have I wanted you to get the idea what are the different things that we will be using. Okay, and then how can I go for this particular this one? So I'll say try, and I will say connection con. So connection con is equal to, so driver manager dot. So driver manager, of course you can so just copy and paste it from there, no problem at all. Connection con, so what you can have over here, you can see, if you remember, so we can have, okay, so we'll save our time. So what we can have the API. So the first thing that you have is API. So the second thing that you can have is yes. So root and password, of course. Okay. So this is API. This is the database. This is the host name. Okay. So and the root and the password. So this is how we generally make use of our. So generally make use of our all the data. So this is the way that you can. Okay. So to save our time, as I told you, we can just take up this, or else otherwise I can just copy it from here. Okay. So that's what you are going to work it out. Okay. So this is the way that you can. Okay. Here is the place where you write the statement. So what exactly I'm trying to write here? So statement st is equal to. Okay. So statement st is equal to. So what you have to use? You have to use con dot create statement. So what you can use here? You can use on dot create statement. And what is the one that I want to go for? So I want to retrieve some data. So I want to retrieve. I mean, sorry. I want to update some data. So now I want to increase the salary of Mithun by 10%. I want to update the salary of Mithun by 10%. What exactly I will do here? I will first write a statement. So string SQL statement is equal to. So what I will do, I will say update. So what is the table name? The table name is employee. So what is my requirement? Update Mithun salary by 10%. So salary by 10%. Updating Mithun salary by 10%. How exactly I'm going to do it here? Update employee. Update employee set. Okay. Set esal is equal to esal plus esal into. So plus esal into, so 10% as I told you, so 0.10. So 0.10, or you can say yes. Can't we use? Yes, we are going to use where clause. So where, so what I said, e name. So you have to go for Mithun salary, right? So you have to go for Mithun salary. So where e name is equal to Mithun. E name is equal to Mithun. E name is equal to Mithun. So this is the way that you can write the statement. So where e name is equal to Mithun. So just close this. So now that is the statement that we are going to, yes. But you have to be careful with the cases on the data. You don't have to worry about the cases on the statement, but you need to consider the cases on you need to consider the cases on the data. So that is mandatory. Okay. So that is mandatory. So you need to be careful with that. So then what I do, again, I can get the execute update only, because this is also an update statement only. So here I'll say, uh, so what I can say, st dot execute update. So what is my statement here? SQL st. So what I will write here again, I just say system.out.println. So how many rows updated here? Are rows updated? Are rows updated? So are rows updated? How many rows updated here? Are rows updated? We are only concerned with the 10% increase of the Mithun salary. Okay, so ESAL is equal to ESAL plus ESAL into, so which is 10 by 100. So 10 by 100, so 10%, 0.5. Okay. So this is the way that we are going to update the Mithun salary. Save the code, run the logic. So you can see that one row got updated. So how can I check that? So let me go back here and just say, so 52030. So definitely there will be an increase of some percentage. Okay, so what is the increase? So 5740. 233. So what about this catch statement? Yeah, I'll come to know. I'll make you understand. So the catch statements here are for, so basically whenever you write as connection here, so this is tend to throw an SQL exception. Okay, so whenever you say this will tend to throw an SQL exception. So SQL exception you need to be handling it. So you need to be handling the SQL exception. So that is why you are giving an SQL exception. So when there is something wrong with the connection, so there is something wrong with the password or something wrong with anything, so then there will be an SQL exception that will be thrown. As an SQL exception is thrown, we are catching it on the catch block. We are catching it on the catch block. So once, if not any other exception is coming, so you can have this. And e print stack trace will give you the complete idea on where on which line the exception has come, and it also gives you a link to the program so that you can visit the program back again and then you can work with it. Okay, so that is where your multiple catches are being used. So that is what is the SQL exception all about. So this is how we can connect with the database. So we can connect with the database and we can work with different statements. So work with different statements. So this is how we have worked with the JDBC program. What exactly is JDBC programming? We wrote a Java application, and that Java application is being connected with the, so Java application is being connected with the database. So what exactly we have done? We have created a connection. So we have inserted the data. So we have retrieved the data. So when I want to delete, I can simply say delete from employee where ESAL is equal to 55 less than or equal to 55,000, less than or equal to 55,000. So when I'm saying where clause, so what will be gone here? So if I'm saying, okay, let me say 6,000. So 56,000. So let me just make a adjustment here, less than 56,000. So yeah. So can you please throw back on statement once again? Yeah. So statement, so statement here is an interface. So let me give you a clear shot here. So statement is an interface. So statement is an interface. So statement is an interface, so which is going to be helpful for working out with the statements. How we can work out with the statements? We can work out with the statements by using three methods. Okay. So what are the three methods? Execute, update methods. Okay, let me go back to the slide once again. So okay, let me go back to that particular slide. So wherein you can have a look at it. Okay, so this is how we where I can show you. So here, so you can look at the statement interface. So let me clear all these drawings again. So when I'm saying a statement, so what exactly the statement is? Statement is going to be the interface containing the essential functions. So what exactly those functions are? Execute query, so which we have used for the select instructions, execute update, which we use it for the updating the data, and then execute for any of those things. Okay, so those are the, hope things are clear for you. Yeah, okay. So this is all about the JDBC. So in our next session, we will be connecting to the database, and we'll also be doing some kind of server side programming, so using servlets. Okay, so hopefully we'll turn back to the next session. Okay, so very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you. So anyone having any kind of doubts, any questions, so you are yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So this is Virendranath signing off. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Have a great night. Thank you so much.